When you finish university, it's an exciting time, and it's also a time of reflecting and on what you want to do next. And for some, it can be very clear, and for some of them, it's like more like, you want to have more like an overview. So let's dive into an overview of what are your options after university. So first of all, there's this choice you can make between, hey, do I stay in academia, or I do go to a non-academic career? So, and within that, you can ask yourself, hey, do I want to work for myself, or do you want to work for others? And yes, if you want to work for yourself, there's also the possibility to be self-employed, to be a business owner, and to be an investor, and all of that have different, let's say, advantages and disadvantages. So working for others, the huge advantages of this is that you work for another system, another company, another product or services. The path is more or less straightforward. You step into that system and that model. You get paid for your time and energy, and for that you get a salary. And you get paid for your knowledge and experience, and your experience will grow over time. And by doing so, your salary will increase over time. There's also a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that you, in the end of the day, you work for somebody else. You work for somebody else's products and services. And of course, that can be great learning school, and later on you can make another transition. But that is the big disadvantage. The other disadvantage is that it becomes political very fast. What I mean by that, at university you can succeed very easily by focusing on what you do and passing your exams and the projects you need to do to pass your degree. But when you are in a setting and working for others, it's very much a political setting, a relational setting. So, and that needs to be addressed and needs to be understood very rapidly. So therefore, I have some references here that I'd like to recommend. 3 books. One is from Jeffrey Pfeffer, who is a Stanford University professor. He wrote quite a few good books, but this book specifically goes on the 7 rules of power. What is needed to be seen in the domain, in your field, and how you can move forward for that. The second book is called Own the Room. There are quite a few other books out there with the same title, so this is the book I would recommend here. It's very much about, hey, what can you present versus for yourself and versus others. So it's finding your signature voice. It's not only the content, but also the packaging around that, and so that you can bring your message across at the right time. Quite a few people, especially introverts, tend to hold back a lot, and that's a disadvantage for them. So, and some people like more to overshare a little bit, and that's also a disadvantage. So it's finding that nice niche between self and others, therefore the so-called signature voice. Highly recommend it. It's a really good book. And the third book is from Carl Newport. He wrote quite a few good books actually, and this book is very relevant if you work for other people. It's so good they can't ignore you. It's Why Skills Trump Passion in the Quest for Work You Love. So it's very much about a skill-based approach. And he wrote a very nice approach to that. Highly recommended, a very good book. It will stick to you. It's highly recommended to read already these 3 books before you start applying for anything else. So that's something you need to do yourself. It's not about broadcasting during an interview. That's not relevant here. It's very much understanding what you need to do internally if you want to be successful in this domain. Now, working for self is very different, of course. It's the thing is, it's the advantages for some is that the path is less straightforward. Some like that; they have more like freedom in that. It can also be a disadvantage, by the way. But you can be paid for your time and energy as the other setting before, as mentioned before. But if you're self-employed, but you can also be a business owner. So you have other people working for you, so they're bringing their time and energy. And you get paid through their services and things like that. So you become the business owner. You can also be paid with your own and others' invested capital. And so you're an investor. But it's very much about creating your own system, your own business system. But the disadvantage, of course, is, part of it is the path is a bit less straightforward. Let's say this was a disadvantage. The income stream might be more inconsistent, more hectic. There's a need to do business development at the same time as you execute your project. You need to find clients while you're actually also working on the project to execute your project. And that combination can be very heavy. So it's about marketing and sales on top of being able to very good in your job. It's also the challenge of mixing your personal life and professional life, because that gets blurred a little bit. No paid vacation because you decide on your own vacation, and the stress levels tends to be much higher. So that's something you need to be aware of if you want to go for this category here. Now, there are some references I like to recommend to prepare yourself, and it can help you decide whether or not you go to work for yourself or for others. The first book is from Michael, the so-called E-Myth Revisited. There's an upgraded version here. And he describes very much that you need to do business development as much as you need to be really good in your job. And the business development part is often missed and overlooked. Highly, highly recommend it. It's a fascinating book. The second book from Robert on the cash flow quadrant, he describes the 4 types: employee, self-employed, business owner or investor, and the differences between these 4 and how you can navigate and shift between these 4. And he's very much in favor to go more to the right part of the quadrant, to the business owner side, and the investor part. So this highly recommended to get to know these principles quite early on. And the third book is from Stephen Covey on the 7 habits of highly effective people, because at the end of the day, you need to be highly effective and efficient in this category of working for yourself. So there's also the question is, if you want to stay in the academic field, you can do the master of the master. It can be an MBA, it can be a specialized master, but it can also become a doctorate or a PhD. So, and the advantage of this is that, yes, you have a deeper specialization, more knowledge, more experience as well. And some career fields require this type of masters, specialized masters. Like, for example, MBA or a finance degree, things like that. But also some domains ask for a PhD. Overall, you will get higher salaries after this and more job options later, because you can branch out quite rapidly. It also gives you some time to build your career a little bit, because you have some time, like, hey, how is the field evolving? How is it moving? So that's a beneficial effect. Also, you might say, hey, the market's not right yet to go to the business side, because maybe the business environment is not optimal that year. So you might postpone that and say, look, I want to do more like an in-depth specialization. The disadvantage is time consuming, especially if you do a doctorate, PhD. It will take you 4 to 5 years. PhD tends to be shorter, 3 to 4 years. Doctorate tends to be 4 to 5 years. Although they're very similar, there's a slightly different approach to it. But that means that you have to finish that journey. If you start year 1, you know you will be in that journey for 3, 4, 5 years, easily. So it's about characters, about pushing through. There's certain costs involved, financial costs, personal costs, as a delayed income, and also a challenging journey. So it's very relevant to pick the right university and the right professor to work with, because at the end of the day, you will work with that group or that lab or that team with that professor for 3, 4, 5 years. And if that professor is, let's say, not helpful in making you finish your degree, then it's not the right way forward. So you need to be very careful, because it's an option here, like it's an investment, there's a risk here that you go with the right university. There are way too many examples of students end up in the wrong lab with toxic environments, and then they lose a couple of years of their life just because of the setting. So you need to be very careful for that. It's very relevant that you pick the right university matching your degree and to go for that. That's the most critical thing you can do here. But that said, there's certainly a lot of advantages here and as well as disadvantages. Now, I hope this very brief introduction helps you a little bit to orientate yourself a little bit, whether you go for academic setting or continue academic setting, whether you go for, let's say, working for others or working for yourself, because that needs some reflection and there's a lot of information is missing. Luckily nowadays with the recent publications out there, recent references, it's easier to have, let's say, an overview of what you can do and the risks involved, but it requires some thinking. So I would highly recommend, on top of this, to speak to the people already in that career. If you want to do a PhD, ask the people that are in a PhD setting or people that have done their PhD and whether they recommend it or not. So it's very much worthwhile to speak to the people that, or the career setting you want to follow, and to investigate whether it's worthwhile or not, because it's a decision, it's a direction, and that direction, sure, in the early stage you can still shift, But later on in your career, it's very much harder to shift your career direction. So it can be done anyway, but it can be more challenging. So keep in mind that making a decision after your university, it's kind of critical. So so think about it, read about it, reach out to the people that have done it before, and good luck with that. And let me know in the comment how it's going. See you later for more.